What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And now we're, obviously it's a new month, so we get to talk about a brand new tier list update. So this is the exact same tier list that we had from the previous month. Obviously, we have a new bunch of characters to talk about. We actually have a lot of new additions to this tier list this month. So we're starting off, obviously, we've got like the PvP Ivankov, which I didn't talk about in the previous month, and then the new batch of Whitebeard vs Blackbeard, Shanks, Buggy, Croc, Dofi during the Kizuna, of course, with the 6+ of Luffy and Ace. So the normal Luffy Ace has been deleted off of the list, been replaced with the new Super Evolution version, and then there's the new batch which had just released, which is Koala Robin and Ulti Black Maria. So we're going to be talking about all of those. I'll add those to the list, and I guess at this current point in time as well, we might as well talk about Big Mom, because she is another legend that did receive a level limit break buff. So we do like to talk about these units when they do get their level limit break, see if they make it onto the list or not. But before we talk about that, we need to discuss my personal criteria. So first of which is the power of the unit. How much damage are they able to output? What is the speed of the unit? How fast can they clear content, and how reliable do they clear the said content? What is their clear rate as a captain? Is there certain pieces of content that they legitimately cannot clear due to the design of the character? And also due to the design, how usable or versatile is that character? Putting them on lots of different teams, even on teams where they're not boosted, just because they're that freaking useful. Sometimes that is the case, and definitely makes the character more valuable overall. So there hasn't really been a lot that has released over this month period since the previous tier list that, in my opinion, needs to change the listing of some of these characters here. Most of the tier list is going to stay relatively similar. Not too many changes are going to be made. Now, in terms of just some of the buffs that we received throughout this last month, obviously with the new batch release of Whitebeard vs Blackbeard and also Shanks Buggy, that gives inherent buffs to Powerhouse, it gives buffs to Psy Dex, gives buffs to affinity boosters because of Shanks and Buggy and the way that they work, really good cerebral buffs with Croc and Dofi, Robin Koala, Maria and Ulti, and then also kind of because of Maria and Ulti, it gives the int-driven Beast Pirates team a bit more of a buff as well. So those reasonings in mind, I do actually want to buff Quick Whitebeard here, as well as the Dex Whitebeard. These two units got a little bit of a buff, obviously because they're powerhouse focused units, but the thing is specifically with Tandem Whitebeard, we got the new batch of Whitebeard Pirates that debuted with Whitebeard vs Blackbeard and Shanks and Buggy. And that's the thing with this unit is, the design of the unit isn't that great, but even his super tandem was very tricky to get to activate. But now with a new batch of these units coming out, it actually makes this unit much better. So I like what they've done here. It is still strange that we got two super tandem Whitebeards within 5 to 6 months. Not a big fan of that in general, but it does give him an inherent buff, even though the design of the unit isn't the best. As I said, there's not really going to be a lot of changes here. Looking at tier 4 here, everything looks pretty okay, unless if there's anything that really jumps out at me in terms of something that really shouldn't be there. One thing, Robin Jinbei, I always seem to rank them quite low whenever I do a new tier list, but they always continually show why they are so good. I actually want to bump them up and put them honestly at the top of tier 3. Honestly, one of the most useful legends that has come out over the last few years. Their special is so good crewmate ability, the captain ability, while it's usable, isn't the best, and then they've got access to some amazing supports. Legit one of the best sub utility type specials in the game. Super good unit. Looking at tier 3 though, nothing really stands out that should be buffed. I guess maybe King and Queen inherently should be receiving a bit of a buff here due to the powerhouse buffs. It does make them a little bit better. I do think Queen is still a better unit than King. I think his special just works better with a lot more units. Looking up here in tier 2, again, nothing really standing out. Everything seems to be about in the right position. I'm really looking forward to the end of July though, because we might be getting some big releases, so we'll have to wait and see. That might actually shake up the tier list quite a lot. At least I hope it does. We'll have to wait and see, of course. With the introduction of Maria and Ulti, it gives the int-driven Beast Pirates team a bit of a buff. So yeah, Jack, I guess, technically did get slightly better, but it is what it is. But then when you look further on into the top of the list here, I mean, most stuff here probably does not need a change. Some people might disagree with the fact that I have Cat Dog so high, but I mean, they are pretty awesome. And I also did see people talking about Luffy crew, and they are still very good. That is completely true. Their final tap is still very useful in the fact that, you could just build a team and on the final boss stage only do 50% of their health, and then Rainbow Luffy crew just does the rest of the damage. That is still very good. So I guess you cannot discredit that. I guess I do want to put them up then, to be honest, because most of these characters in the higher tiers are up there due to the fact that they are just so good in basically every piece of content ever, and also due to the fact that in Super Boss Kizuna, they just help you do the most damage. I feel like that's the main reason why these characters are ranked as high as they are, as well as having good captain abilities, good special abilities, and good other miscellaneous effects. And also having a lot of good supports attached to them is a huge benefit too. So yeah, like Luffy crew, I guess you do have to respect what they do, honestly, due to how useful they are. I guess I should put them a bit higher. Zoro, of course, he has his main issues. I do want to kind of bump him a bit lower. I think Luffy is just an easier unit to use, but like the super tandem effect of Zoro at level 5 is just absurd. I mean, it's essentially like a different version of Nami, and she does have the best super tandem in the game, so I guess I do have to rank him quite high still. But of course, his final tap, Luffy Crew's final tap, is so good. In a vacuum, Luffy Crew by himself is amazing, but they are obviously power creeping him by just releasing other Straw Hat characters that are so good you kind of have to have them on your team, which really just pushes the Straw Hat Pirates out, which is a huge, disadvantage because he is like really one of the best design units ever. But of course, it is what it is. We have to rank these other characters better because they're just more useful to use on a team separately, each of the Straw Hats, rather than all the units combined into one. Obviously, if we had the ability to use Straw Hat Crew alongside the rest of these units, Straw Hat Crew probably would still be in the top 5, but it is what it is. One thing I kind of noticed as well was this green final tap Law. I actually kind of want to bump him up. He is like low-key still very, very powerful. I mean, his special's still a 2.75 attack boost. In today's day and age, a 2.75 times attack boost is still exceptional. I guess maybe in like a Super Boss Kizuna, you probably don't want to use 2.75, even though it's perfectly acceptable. But also, the guaranteed increased damage taken through immunity, exceptional, right? Law has access to very good supports. He's a damage dealing special. He boosts Dex, Cerebral, and Slashy. You got a lot going on there. I mean, his super type isn't the best, but I do feel like, especially with the latest releases that we've had over just in 2023, Law does seem to have gotten a little bit better. So I do think Law is still a super solid unit, and I mean, this unit doesn't even have a super evolution yet, so I'm kind of excited to see what they'd even do with a super evolution of this character. So I guess it's about that time to start talking about all of these brand new units. Let's just start off with V1 Big Mom with her level limit break, and I'm just going to straight up say it, I just don't think that the buffs that she receives warrants her to go on this list. And even if she did receive like these massive power numbers and she became like the highest multiplier captain in the game, that probably still wouldn't let me put this character on the list, mainly due to the fact that I'm not a fan of her design. I don't think that she is a super solid unit, because if you're up against anything that isn't Dex, she is a little wonky to build for, obviously. At least she does boost Strength, Dex, and Quick, so you can build like a full Quick team, just with Big Mom captains and still do stuff. But I don't know, Big Mom is still a little janky, so I don't think I'm going to be putting her on the list. But we've got the new units now. We've got Ivankov, and I do think Ivankov does deserve a mention. We've got Bon Clay on the list, a great synergy with that unit. Also works very well with the new Sanji too. I do think this character does deserve to be on here, though I'm not going to rank this character that high. That is for damn sure. The captain ability is very, very mediocre, but that special is useful, and you can use it in lots of weird scenarios. Sometimes you just need these certain debuff removals or these certain buffs inflicted on your team, and this unit can just do it, just depending on what captain you're using. So it is team dependent, obviously, but sometimes Ivankov can just do exactly what you need. So I do think that this unit deserves to be on here, but again, as I said, not very, very highly ranked. Kind of want to maybe put it around to Zoro tier, maybe a bit lower than Cracker. Yeah, maybe around this tier here. I feel like that's pretty acceptable for this unit, especially because it is a Rumble unit that doesn't even have a super type or a super class or anything like that. So next we're going to be talking about Whitebeard versus Blackbeard. Now I know many people that end up doing their own tier lists split the versus units into separate units, and that's completely fair and that's on them. But considering the fact that when you pull one of these units, you get both of them, I feel like you just kind of have to rank them together, because wherever one is, the other one is going to be sticking with it. So you have to talk about both of these units. So we've got Whitebeard versus Blackbeard, and the Whitebeard side of the unit definitely is the more lacking side, whereas Blackbeard, I'm a huge fan of what that Blackbeard character has. The innate ability to just completely ignore despair. It's not even inflicted on your crew. That's a huge benefit, right? Because if you have a character that has a support that activates when you're inflicted with bind, despair, and paralysis, if you get despaired earlier on in the fight, that support actually won't even activate, so you can keep that support a little bit later on. Like, that's a weird, like, janky way that you can utilize that captain ability to your advantage. So I do think that, you know, this character is very strong and has a unique ability, has access to final tap. You've got super tandem on the white bid side, of course. It is a good unit. However, I don't think it's going to see like a hell of a lot of play. I really wish that, you know, they both boosted the both classes and their color. So white bid boosting Psy Striker powerhouse, and then you've got black bid boosting Dex driven powerhouse. I think that would have been a huge upgrade to these units. And hypothetically, if this unit was a Super Sugofest exclusive, they probably would have had that. So it is a bit unfortunate that they are restricted to one class, one color. It definitely hurts their team building aspects a little bit. But the good thing about this unit as well is they are both very, very good captains, and they're both very good subs as well. You can use them in really cool scenarios as subs. Unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of their versus effect requiring such a hefty requirement, you know, having to hit 24 tandem slots and /or perfects. It can be a little janky, I must admit. You know, in normal content like an arena or something like that, unless if you're using them as a captain to generate more tandem slots naturally, you're probably not going to see that super tandem. But if you do get the super tandem, you can have, you know, a 3-turn color affinity boost that can't be removed by the enemy, which is strong. And also, because of versus effects in the way that they worked, Intimidate doesn't actually get rid of them either. So again, very, very useful mechanic. As for where I want to rank them though, I do think they deserve to be at least tier 1, like at a bare minimum. And I think I want to probably rank them maybe around this tier. Like, are they better than Shank's crew? I mean, they probably are better than Shank's crew. They're probably better than Roger, honestly. They probably are, but I'm such a huge fan of Roger, so I kind of want to put it in between Yamato and Roger. I guess Roger probably is still better than Rayleigh Gaban, but Rayleigh Gaban gets access to some really good utility stuff. I feel comfortable putting there for now. I think that this is a very good unit. This is a good generic legend, and I'm really looking forward to the fact that when the new monthly thing resets, we should be getting Whitebeard versus Blackbeard like in generic tickets, which is huge because this unit is an exceptional generic legend. So the next one is Shanks and Buggy, and this is a really hard one to rank as well because, I mean, captain ability, you're not going to use them as a captain. I've never been a fan of captains that have a lowered attack multiplier but give you a really big color affinity boost. They're just so jank, man. They're so annoying to use because if you're not using them against the right color, like you just like it's pointless. There's no reason to do it. However, saying that though, they're going to be a really good crewmate on a lot of different teams. And you know, one of the best ways to use this character, you know, is you just have one of those really weak supports, like a 1.3 color affinity support. And then that gets inflicted to your team. And then when you use this character special, it buffs that color affinity to 2.75. So you can get like a free 2.75 color affinity. And then you have this special that also gives you the ability to lock slots. It also removes attack down and paralysis. The only other thing that's kind of unfortunate about Shanks and Buggy is that they don't have like the greatest supports ever. They've got a couple of really cool ones, but they don't have a lot like the Straw Hats or some of the other characters in the game, right? And they don't have any good synergies for Super Tandem. Like, there's no character in the game that needs a Buggy or a Shanks and a Super Tandem that I can remember, aside from Super Tandem Shanks himself and Beckman Lucky Roo. But, you know, if there's a Super Tandem that requires a slasher or a driven character, then yeah, in that scenario, Shanks Buggy is going to be nice. But it would be nice if we had more characters that actually synergized with a Shanks and a Buggy to make more use of this unit. And their Super Swap is still very good too. So good utility type special. So I do want to rank them maybe just below Hiyori. At this current point in time, I feel pretty comfortable putting them there. Maybe even a little bit lower, because I feel like their utility they have, I mean, the utility they have is still pretty good, probably still better than Jack. Jack has a really nice offensive effect that can work in lots of different teams. The thing is, though, is if you don't have another color affinity special on your team, you really are only getting the color affinity to Psy and Dex, which is very restrictive. But if you have another color affinity special, then have the ability of Shanks Buggy to either buff that color affinity or like extend it and do really cool shenanigans with it, then you know, Shanks Buggy gets really good there. And their switch is also good. Applying resistance down and stuff like that is obviously really nice. But at this current point in time, I feel pretty comfortable leaving them in tier 2. So we've got Crocodile and Doflamingo. I feel like this is a very difficult character to rank because at this current point in time, we don't have the best idea as to how good this character is actually going to be. We have to wait until the next Super Boss Kizuna. And again, like this character has kind of like the similar issue with Shanks and Buggy, is that there's no Super Tandem character in the game that utilizes Doflamingo or Crocodile in their Super Tandem chain, to my recollection. Unless, of course, if they need a Cerebral or a Driven unit, then it would work. You know, this character as a captain is usable because they have the ability to inflict resistance down. That is something that is very, very unique with this unit. But you need to have an int, a quick, or a dex slot in order to do that. And in a super boss sense, that might not actually be that good, because you probably want to apply tandem slots or Wano slots to give you more damage, and those effects will not allow you to get the resistance down with their captain. So that again could be a little janky, but still their main use I think is probably going to be as a sub. Their switch ability, allowing you to remove bind and special bind, is exceptional. Getting those int slots, which of course they can abuse with the captain effect, and then the special, which is super unique, but it does have the inherent downside of reducing your crew's HP. So you need to have high HP when you use their special to get the most out of it, and that already has like its inherent flaw, because if they start releasing more and more Rush Sugo specials, then this character is not going to be that good, because Rush Sugo special consumes your crew's HP. So at this current point in time, I feel like this is actually a really hard character to rank on this tier list, but at face value, I do think this character is a lot of fun to use and is very, very good. I actually do like this character better than Shanks and Buggy, because I feel like this type of unit can be injected legit in any team, and it's going to help your team out. Obviously, the attack boost only works for cerebral driven, but if you just have another attack boost on your team, and then you just have this unit that buffs any type of buff that you have, like, it is good. It is a really solid unit, but I feel like, I mean, they don't have any good utility aside from their switch, so that is an inherent downside, which I kind of want to rank them lower than Hiyori or, you know, waifus, because I feel like these units are still more useful on a lot of crews. So I guess, coincidentally, putting them right next to each other, but I mean, I'm a big fan of Croc and Dofi. They're a really fun unit. So now we get to move on to Luffy and Ace. And Luffy and Ace, you know, obviously they weren't on the tier list before because, you know, the normal dual unit of Luffy Ace was absolutely terrible. But now with their Super Evolution, they are definitely better. They are like a pseudo version of Luffy Yamato in a way, where you can use their switch effect, their super switch, to become the dual unit. But the amount of benefits that you get out of, you know, stalling for that super swap just don't cut it. They really should have put a bit more into their kit. I feel like if you're going out of your way to get that super swap, they should have made it so that if you use the special while in their dual form, the ignited effect should have gone through immunity. That's what I feel anyway. That would have made this character so much more powerful. But at least they have the ability of reduced redundancy, so if you have an orb boost, you get an attack boost instead. So that's kind of cool. I like that they do that. The switch ability now applying chain boundary is also really cool. Luffy and Ace obviously have fantastic supports. That's a huge benefit. They're a damage dealing special. There's lots to love about this unit, but at the end of the day, we have so many good Luffy and Ace characters in the game. I don't really know if this character is going to see active usage just due to that reason. Another cool thing about this unit is the ability to resist special reverse in their captain. That is probably one of the biggest components that they've added, which means that, you know, this character probably still will see play due to that special reverse resistance. But at the end of the day, I don't think I can rank this character that high, because at full power, yes, this character is very good, but also, like, there's not too many situations where you're really going to use Luffy Ace. They don't provide any utility as a sub or with their switch ability. The only utility they have is with their captain ability, but, you know, outside of that, they are just literally raw power, and that's all they do. So I personally cannot rank them like super duper high. I mean, you could say the same thing about this Luffy as well, but I mean, he does have, you know, the final tap and all of those mechanics too. I don't know. This is actually a really difficult one to rank as well. I think I want to put this character maybe around here. No, lower than that. Probably around here seems good. These characters have the utility in their specials or in their captains, which is really nice. So I think I'm going to put Luffy and Ace here for now. You could probably put it lower. But, you know, obviously the good thing about this unit is they can synergize with a lot of characters in the game, which is big. Some people may put them higher than this. Personally, I wasn't a big fan whilst I was using this character, trying to showcase him. Used him in the recent PKA season. Like, he's okay. I just feel like they could have done a lot better with the Super Evolution as a whole. Definitely nowhere near CatDog tier. I still think CatDog is still the best Super Evolution to ever come out. Alright, so we got two more characters to talk about. We've got the Robin and Koala. Now, these two units I obviously haven't pulled yet, so I haven't had a chance to actually use them. I have had the opportunity, I guess, to use Robin Koala in PKA as a friend captain, and obviously she's really good. She's built for that content. But the interesting thing about these units is I feel like these units just, you don't need them for anything. Obviously, they're very good in this season. They're going to be good probably for Treasure Map as well. But I mean, like, just talking about every other piece of content like ever, like this unit, I just don't feel like it's going to be that useful. They do have the ability to resist special reverse as well, which is kind of cool. I guess the good thing to take out with these two new units that have come out is their switch abilities, because the switches having the ability to remove Rainbow Shield, or I think it's Threshold for the Black Maria and Ulti, and I think the other one removes Rainbow Shield. That's really cool. The ability to just remove one turn of that or 3 turns with the super swap is very valuable, and that's probably where they're going to see the most play. Use them as a sub, use their switch ability to remove the debuff, and then be able to apply other specials to get rid of like further turns of that effect. You know, sometimes 6-turn removal is annoying, switch ability removes 1, and then you have a 5-turn remover. That's probably a really cool scenario where you can use it. But still, a 3-turn massive orb boost and potentially like color affinity in 2 separate stages too. It's nice. Like, it's just a super solid unit. But like, again, this unit is basically just like raw power, utility, switch, and somewhat of a utility captain. But they only boost Dex, Int, and Cerebral, so that is kind of annoying as well. I feel like this unit is probably a little bit better than CatDog, probably better than Dofi. Top of tier 2 seems pretty fair. Some will probably put them in tier 1. They are 5.75 captains, which is pretty good. So I guess, yeah, I feel all right putting them here, to be honest. But at the end of the day, they're special, as we said. You know, they're boosting Dex, Int, and Cerebral. So color focused can be a bit annoying, because if you don't have type advantage, this unit might not be worthwhile using. But they do still boost Cerebral. So Mono Cerebral, if you think about it in that sense, yeah, you can still do some pretty cool stuff with Mono Cerebral. And then if you look at the other unit, Black Maria and Ulti, this unit is like Cerebral and Driven focus, which I think is kind of cool. I like that this unit is boosting that instead. So I do actually prefer Ulti and Black Maria over the new Robin. The fact that they're special as well allows you to get a guaranteed conditional boost. That's huge. And also the fact that their switch ability applies like chain buff, and it can give you an effect of the overrideable chain buff with the normal swap, and then the super swap giving you an unrideable, normal, just chain boost. But the really cool thing is with their switch, you could use Alba, really good synergy with Alba, because if you have like versus Kaido, obviously, use their special attack and orb boost, and then you have like the switch ability, then you use Alba's special, you can get like Alba's normal chain plus like the bigger buff of the base attack boost and stuff. Like, cool synergy here, and then obviously conditional boost and all the cool mechanics there. Like, this is a nice combo, and I do like that a lot. So I do actually like this unit better than the Nico, Robin, and the Koala. So I'm going to put them around here, probably a little bit above Luffy, because of like the really cool stuff that's you know, very hard to replicate with other units. You know, the guaranteed conditional boost and the switch ability to give you chain. That's very, very unique. The overrideable chain, very, very unique with what they have. So I feel comfortable, you know, putting them there. And obviously they focus on boosting Driven and Cerebral, and then those are 2 fantastic classes. Driven is amazing right now, so I can feel comfortable in saying that I'm going to put them in this tier here. Just to visit the top 5 once again, I don't like Luffy Yamato that much. I kind of want to put them at the bottom of top 5 because I just don't like them that much. I feel perfectly comfortable leaving Sanji at the 3rd best unit in the game. Obviously, good captain, good special, good super type, super class, should we say, and also good support. So you've got to keep that in mind too. Some people might disagree with that, but I just personally don't like Luffy Yamato that much. I do not like using them. They're very, very slow. Very, very janky unit, but they are strong. They're very strong, just a little janky to use, but I feel comfortable leaving it at that. So that is pretty much it. You know, obviously a little bit of a shorter one, I guess. Not really much to talk about, not too many changes, just adding some new characters to the list. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video today, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.